Now, if you grew up anywhere in South Texas, if your abuela ever caught you sneaking out toward the river after dark, then you already know her name. You know it the way you know thunder means rain. She is the reason kids down here don't dawdle by the water when the sun goes down. They call her La Llorona, the weeping woman. And tonight, amigos, I'm going to tell you her story. So pull your blanket up a little tighter, because somewhere out past the porch light, down where the creek runs black and the frogs go quiet, a woman is walking the riverbank right now, and she is crying. Let's go back, way back, before the highways, before the strip malls, before Whataburger, back to a little village on the banks of a Texas river. They say there was a girl named Maria, and Maria was the most beautiful girl anybody in that village had ever laid eyes on. The kind of beautiful that stops conversations. The kind of beautiful that makes grown men forget their own names. She knew it too. Maria was proud. She figured a face like hers was worth more than some poor farmer's son. She was holding out for a prince. And wouldn't you know it, one day a prince rode in. Well, not a prince, but close enough for Texas. A wealthy ranchero, tall in the saddle, silver on his spurs, a horse that cost more than most families made in a year. Charming as the devil and twice as handsome. Every girl in the village fluttered when he passed. But he only had eyes for Maria. And Maria? For the first time in her life, her heart went and did the thing hearts do. She fell. Hard. They married under the cottonwoods, and for a little while, a few golden years, Maria had everything she ever wanted. A grand house, a handsome husband, and two beautiful children she loved more than the moon loves the night. But here's the thing about a man who marries a face. He gets bored of it. Slowly, quietly, the ranchero started to change. He'd ride off for weeks and come home smelling of another town. When he was home, he only had eyes for the children, never for Maria. The compliments stopped. The gifts stopped. The love stopped. Then, one afternoon, Maria was walking near the river with her little ones, and she saw his fine carriage come rolling down the road. Her heart jumped. She thought, "He's come back to me." The carriage slowed. Her husband leaned out, and he smiled. But not at her. He smiled at his children. He tousled their hair, laughed, gave them each a little gift, and then, sitting right there beside him, was a young woman. Elegant, wealthy, everything Maria used to be. And without so much as a glance in Maria's direction, the ranchero snapped the reins and drove away. Left her standing in the dirt like a stranger, like she was nothing. Now, folks, I want you to understand something. What happened next, there's no excusing it. There never has been. But rage is a strange and terrible thing. It gets into a person. It whispers. And on that riverbank, with the dust still hanging in the air and her whole life driving off down the road, something inside Maria broke clean in two. She looked down at her two children, and she saw his eyes looking back at her. I'm not going to dwell on it. You already know. Every version of this story ends the same way at the river's edge. In a blind, boiling fury, a fury meant for a man who wasn't even there. Maria carried her children down to the water, and she let the river take them. And the moment it was done, the fury drained right out of her. And what was left was the most terrible thing of all: understanding. She screamed. She waded in after them, clawing at the current. But the river doesn't give anything back. It just kept rolling on, black and quiet, like nothing had happened at all. They found her the next morning, still on the bank. She would not eat. She would not speak. She only walked up and down the river, calling out for her babies, in a voice that made the dogs howl and the neighbours bolt their doors. "Ay, mis hijos, oh, my children." And they say she walked that river until the walking killed her. But amigos, that is not where the story ends. Because when Maria's spirit rose up to the gates of heaven, they stopped her right at the threshold. "Where are your children?" they asked. And Maria had no answer, or no answer she could bear to give. So they turned her away. "You cannot enter," they told her, "until you bring us the souls of your children." And that, they say, is the curse. That's why she can't rest. That's why she wanders, not up in some far-off heaven, but here, along the rivers, along the creeks, along the acequias, those old irrigation canals that thread through the South Texas dark. Searching, always searching, for children that the river swallowed a long, long time ago. They stopped calling her Maria. Now they only call her La Llorona, the one who weeps. Now, you might be thinking, that's a Mexican legend. What's it doing in Texas? Well, friend, she crossed the Rio Grande a long time before any of us did. Some folks trace her back centuries, all the way to the Aztecs, to a weeping goddess who wailed through the night streets warning that the old world was about to end. Others tie her to La Malinche from the days of the conquistadors. But here in Texas, she's ours now. She has been for generations. You'll find her all over the map, on the banks of the San Antonio River, where more than a few late-night walkers swear they've heard a woman sobbing just out of sight. Down along the Rio Grande Valley, where every kid grows up knowing to stay clear of the canals after dark. From the outskirts of Houston to the little creeks of the hill country, she gets around. But there is one spot in Texas where her name is written right on the map. Head east out of San Antonio on Interstate 10, out towards Seguin, and you'll cross a little creek in Bexar County. Blink and you'll miss the sign. But it's there. And it reads, Woman Hollering Creek. Now that is a real place. You can drive over it tomorrow. And here's the spooky part. Maps from the 1830s, going back almost 200 years, already had a name for that water. They called it Arroyo de la Llorona, the Creek of the Weeping Woman. The stories say that on quiet nights, folks living near that creek have heard it. A woman's voice, hollering, crying, drifting up over the water where there's nobody there to make it. Some say she's still mourning. Some say she's still hunting. Because here's the part your abuela never forgot to mention. She's not picky about whose children she finds. That's the real reason this story has lasted so long. It isn't just a ghost story, it's a warning, dressed up in a white gown. They say if you're a child and you're out too close to the water after dark, and you hear a woman crying somewhere in the reeds, whatever you do, do not go toward the sound. Because when La Llorona sounds closest, she's actually far away. And when she sounds far away, she's right behind you. They say she mistakes lost children for her own, that she'll reach out with those long, cold hands to gather you up and carry you down to the river, to finally end her endless search. And once she's got you, well, the river doesn't give anything back. Remember? Now, is it true? I'll let you decide that one for yourself. But I'll tell you this. Next time you're driving through South Texas late at night, and you cross one of those dark little creeks, maybe even Woman Hollering Creek itself, do me a favor. Crack the window, just for a second, and listen. Because if you hear a woman crying somewhere out past the headlights, ay, mis hijos, don't you dare go looking for her. Just roll that window right back up, keep both hands on the wheel, and drive.